Hello and welcome to Giving Tuesday. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate 20 years of amplifying hope around the world with 2-8 Ministries. My name is Eric. I'm the founder and director of 2-8, and we've got a lot we're going to talk about in a short amount of time today, so stick with us. But before we go any further, let's go ahead and play some of that footage where I had like the Backstreet Boys hair from 20 years ago. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Here we go. Roll it. 2-8 is really the story of Jillian and my journey with God. After college, I spent a year in India, and it was the first time that my eyes were open to the mission field. I had heard of unreached people groups before, like entire cultures that had not been reached with the gospel, but it wasn't until living in India that I experienced it firsthand. The place where we lived was less than 1% Christian. Jillian and I met while working for the same missions agency, and we both felt this calling to do music and missions. So even before we got married, we had a feeling that our lives would look a little different. For the first 4 years of our marriage, we traveled around the United States and overseas 3 times each year, telling people about Jesus through our music. During certain seasons, it was actually kind of hard because we didn't really have much of a team around us. So we started praying for help. Our prayers weren't really answered the way we expected because we were really just praying for help and to have some team members. But Jesus responded by sending us a whole community. It was so overwhelming and amazing. 2-8 started as this young married couple, but it's grown into a family. A beautiful, awkward family that is on mission together. And like a lot of families, we can get pretty loud. But in our case, that's good, because we exist to amplify hope where it's desperately needed, but hardest to find. Welcome back. I am in the studio with the man, the myth, and the legend, Scott Naylor, our Director of Events and Music Ministry. Welcome, Scott.
It's great to be here.
You know, we kind of had a chance to look back over the highlight reel there of 20 years of 2-8, and you can tell I was not lying about the frosted tips.
Those were real. I also have frosted tips, but it's just my beard.
Nice. I see how I did that. But yeah, you know, I think one of the things that we wanted to make sure to talk about in this year's Giving Tuesday was really the origin story of 2-8 was international. 2-8 stands for Scripture, Psalm 2-8, ask me for the nations. And so, yeah, our early years, Jillian and I especially, we lived out of an RV for years, and we would park that thing and go overseas 3 times a year to help with outreach efforts and accelerate faith movements in other parts of the world. And we used music as a way of getting into countries where it wasn't even legal to be doing Christian ministry, places like China and India, other places. And so music opened the door, you know, and so you get a chance to kind of see some of our origin story there. And over the last 7 years, we've really focused on trying to build 2-8 further into an organization that could have a larger reaching impact, you know. But I think it's important to go back to the origin of international. That's really our grassroots, who we were and who we will continue to be as we move into some of the future of what you'll be seeing here. But we did step back from the international in 2017 and 2018, specifically to start building custom events that would help empower our recovery efforts here in Indiana when we started realizing how far-reaching the overdose epidemic had become. In fact, it was because of the need for events to happen in the recovery space that I really reached out and said, hey, can you help us launch this tour? You know, we were trying to build events that were going to do similar to what we've always done internationally, because if people don't know this about Scott spent 20 years working in cross-cultural music outreach, a lot like what Jillian and I were doing.
Right. I've worked with Campus Crusade for Christ for about 20 years with their music ministry and traveled all around the U.S. and all around the world. And we've been friends for a long time. So he called me, and we've done a lot of things together, but in 2017 or so, Eric had the vision to build a program called Our Story, Our Time, which was a music and live music and video-driven presentation just to bring people into a state of awareness about the opioid epidemic and the dire need for people to understand how to get connected to resources. So we built that show, and that led to a 4-year contract with the state of Indiana to produce festival events all throughout the state called the Summer of Recovery. And that's been some of our most meaningful work, is to use music and events to create these moments where people can not only feel heard and seen in their struggles, but know how to get connected to the resources in their community.
So, Scott, in addition to a lot of the recovery work that we've done together over the years, talk about your extensive past in working on campuses and helping create events that would allow a student to make that first big step of faith.
Yeah, I came to Christ. I came into a relationship with Jesus at age 18 in my freshman year of college, and I know you came to the Lord in college too. I've just seen how significant it can be for people at that point in life to begin thinking about eternity, to begin thinking about their spirituality. And I spent 20 years on staff with Campus Crusade for Christ with their music ministry, traveling all around the U.S. to college campuses and all around the world to give student-age people or students a chance to think about Jesus, a chance to bring him into the conversation. And the work that 2.8's done over the last 20 years has been really, really similar. We've partnered with organizations like Crew and Greek University and Athletes in Action. I had to write this down to remember them all. With People of Purpose, with YWAM, with More Than Gold, with Teen Challenge, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Pioneers, Mission Possible, Asian Partners International, and most recently an organization called discipleship.org.
Man, that is crazy to hear that list, especially like back to back. I mean,
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And some of those partnerships, we were there with them every year, 4 or 5 years in a row sometimes. And so to look back over the last 20 years and to realize we've been international, we've been on college campuses around the world, helping accelerate those faith movements there so that they can reach their generation with the gospel. And we've been a part of empowering local and statewide recovery efforts for years. And so I'm excited that in 2026 and beyond, we're going to do more of that, and we're going to do it even better. And we can't wait to take you with us as we talk about that.
I think we're just as excited about the next 20 years as we are about the work that we've done in the past. We're still going to go international. We're still going to accelerate faith movements. We're still going to work on empowering recovery efforts. But Eric, what have we got internationally?
Yeah, it's kind of an exciting thing that we haven't talked a lot about. But in the past, we've never gone overseas without a PA system and guitars and all this stuff. And if you've ever tried traveling internationally with a guitar, especially an acoustic guitar that try to keep up top, it's terrible. You make a lot of friends. Anyway, international moving forward, though, it's something that we've been working on for years behind the scenes, but there are faith movements happening all over the world in some of the most significant places. And something we say a lot at 2A is we really want to help amplify hope, and especially where the gospel is desperately needed and hardest to find. And so there are parts of the world that we call the 1040 window, where the vast majority of unreached people groups live. And we're talking millions of unreached people groups live in this part of the world. The north part of India, we see parts of China and Africa. And we are actually, for the first time in church history, hearing about revivals at unprecedented scales happening in these parts of the world. And we want to learn from them. We want to know why this is happening. We want to share these stories with the rest of the world. And so 2 years ago, we went to film our first international documentary, and we will actually be able to start showing this documentary in just a few months. And it's something that, again, has really been behind the scenes. We have to be careful when we even talk about work that sensitive, because it can put the people who are living out that reality at jeopardy if we're not careful with how we release information like that. So we're talking international documentaries. Sounds like something we don't do as musicians, right? Well, it turns out media has always been a big part of the work that we do. We used to bring cameras like this with us so we could help tell our support team the work that's going on in other parts of the world or on the road with us when we do our tours. But in this case, we realized, I think the cameras are more important than the events or the instruments. And so we went over with film teams to film in India. We were in Poland earlier this year with Amber and Scott and myself, where we got to learn about a faith movement that is sweeping across Europe right now. And then in January, I'll be going with the small film team to learn about what Jesus is doing in Africa through a disciple-making movement as well. So this is really exciting. This is new for us. 2.8 Media is something that's been in the background that we're bringing further out front, because we realize one of the things that needs to be amplified the most are the stories of people you would never hear from because they're not going to be found on platforms. They're not going to be found on an online stream with their church because their church is underground, but we cannot wait to share these stories with you.
I think one of the things that I'm most excited about as it pertains to international work is a project we have with E3 partners and an initiative called Sent Ones. And we're going to develop a show similar to Our Story, Our Time to use live music and video to help awaken the hearts of college students for global missions. So that's a partnership we have coming up. Really excited about how the nexus of our work with accelerating faith movements and the international stuff kind of comes into focus. Looking to the future, we also have a lot more work coming up with the recovery community, but I think Amber is probably due to get on screen.
All right, I am here with Amber O'Brien. You may know Amber as our director of operations. She's also a recording artist. Not everybody knows this. You got to check out her music. She's got her own page on her website. You can go listen to some of her most recent songs that have come out. But Amber has been a part of the Summer Recovery Tour ever since we launched it. In fact, you volunteered the first year we started the tour, and then we eventually brought you onto the staff, after that first tour. But Amber, when it comes to the events that 2-8 has done around recovery specifically, and some of the work that you've done, even with those in incarceration, why are these festivals important, and why does this kind of work that we do matter to you personally?
Yeah. I love how these recovery efforts help reach the lost, the last, and the least of these. And I've seen the people who've been touched by this. It's brought whole communities together. We have made partnerships with many of these people. Super excited that, one, we're looking forward this year to continuing the recovery efforts, but two, we're going to be doing it without the grants that we've had in the past. So that's all a challenge, but also we're excited to take that on. And we just love these people so much.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I'd say that's one of the big obstacles that we wanted to bring up today is in the past we have had a lot of state funding that's allowed us to really do more of these events. A lot of them were paid for by the state, and then some of them weren't. So about half of our recovery events were actually because of your support. We were able to offset costs and do a lot of these. Yeah. But starting in 2026, we're going to really need to raise support to continue doing these festivals. And there's just so much work that goes in behind the scenes, and Amber and Scott and the internal team work so hard to make sure that those events can have the largest impact possible, the amount of programming and promotion and outreach that goes into it as well. So, what do you think? I don't know, just say something else.
Yeah. One thing that I love about the recovery events is that we get to go places where not a lot of people would go. And it's open doors that we would probably never have walked through without this. So that's incredible. And it's also led an open door for me to start working in the jails locally here and even some farther away with people who are in recovery, incarcerated right now. And so I have a big heart to continue that work as well.
And why does this matter? I mean, why does this work mean so much to you personally?
Yeah, I mean, addiction has affected my family greatly. And so I have learned so much through this. And yeah, some of the recovery leaders that we've met who themselves are still in recovery, some of the most incredible people you could meet. We're friends with them. We have ongoing relationships with them. Everyone we meet and hear their stories, it just blows you away. The things that they've overcome. There's such a stigma around this, and that's something that we really work hard to reduce because it is not what people think. And I think getting on the ground, going out there and doing this is a way to learn how incredible these people are.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Amber. And back to you, Ron Burgundy. I don't know what the translation is. Wow, 20 years of 2-8. It has been so fun to look back at the last 20 years. And we get so excited as we look forward at the opportunities God has put in front of us. The work that we do is really important. And it means the world to us because we're made for this, and we would do it for free if we could, but unfortunately we can't. And so we are so grateful to each of you who are our monthly donors who are literally with us each and every month as we go out on the front lines. We're so grateful to the team members you haven't seen on this live stream who are behind the scenes producing events with us. We have Frank and Josh Cummins, and we have Mike Myers, our production director, who you can't see, and Megan Mellinger, who's behind a camera. And even my wife, Jillian, is behind a Mac right now, helping track all the donations coming in through the online fundraiser. This is our largest fundraiser this year. we believe in this work so much, but we can't do it without your help. The three of us you saw on the live stream today, we each raise our own support. And so we need help finding partners to help keep the lights on and to allow us to stay in this work. And so you'll actually notice on the giving page is a drop down, and you can choose if there's a staff member that you would like to support. Our full-time staff would be Amber and Scott and Jillian and I. We each have our own campaign page. Or if you'd like to give specifically to one of the staff members, thank you. That means the world. It's not a competition. We all need help. And then if you'd like to just give to the area of greatest need, that helps us so much. So as you consider your 2025 end of year giving, would you please pray about making 2-8 Ministries a part of your giving this year? Thank you so much again for joining us today. We look forward to continuing to amplify hope all over the world where it is desperately needed and hardest to find. Are like highlights coming back in style? Can I get highlights again, or is that like done? Like I can't do that anymore? I used to wear a little cap. We'd pull it through and we'd highlight it. Yep.